Hey YouTube, so I wanted to make this video. This video is for educational purposes only. I wanted to further share about the current state and deterioration of my body, and briefly mention how we are in a simulation and how my transgender mother, Ghislaine Maxwell, told me what was going to happen to me in this current state of my life that I am in. To clarify, I'm currently reading off my laptop, so that's why I'm looking over here. To clarify, the truth was never told. Elements of what is happening and going to happen to me were visually displayed, but no one told the truth. All of this that is happening to me right now is because of the computer that was built that targets my body and how my body is now naturally responding. There is an increased interruption of concentration because of this device being pressed more frequently during the day. It makes me forget my thoughts. Not every single one, but I have had enough experiences where I have a thought or where I have an image and I lose it. It gets either, let's say, deleted, shifted to a different part of my brain, but I had something that I was going to say or share, write down, and then it's gone. And there's been times where I get it back, there's been other times where I don't, and I'm learning to work through this by letting it go and trusting that I eventually, at some point in this energy cycle, will remember what that thing was. I have currently noticed that my handwriting is deteriorating as well, noticeably. It has been pressed while I'm writing and it interrupts the natural flow of electricity, and as a result it makes it more difficult to hold the pen, and voila, the proof is in the pudding with poor writing. I am also experiencing mixing up my words. Example, I put my plate in the dryer, or I need to shut off the washing machine, when really, I mean dishwasher and television. That is how much this device has affected my speech, writing ability, and concentration. It's startling that it's been 2 months and how much of my life is being affected because of this device. It makes it more challenging to think, exist, when it feels like a dryer or massage chair is rumbling through your head and or body. Some may say that's not too bad because of the shakes, because it is disruptive. Because of the shakes, it is disruptive, incredibly disruptive, and it leads to pain, usually in my head, but it can lead to pain in other parts of my body. When I pop my ears, I feel some tension relief, but then the device gets pressed and it begins to rumble again. When it rumbles, I experience vertigo. It can be small to high, depending on the moment. depending on the day. If it's high, it can go to the point where it feels like how I have felt before I pass out. Um, and like I need to sit down. I don't sit down, but I take a breath, but that's the feeling that is running through my body. It gets pressed when I have my eyes closed for longer than 2 seconds because they don't want me in the astrals or receiving any messages. And the second I get up at 5 a.m. or the hour after, once I'm back in my body and they can read, I'm getting a missed call from my father, Jacob Rothschild. This realm is where he dies, as well as Ghislaine Maxwell. Sorry, I'm just really feeling a lot right now. And they can read that I am consciously in my body, and the device will be pressed until I get out of bed. So once my consciousness comes back to my body, since they can read all of your thoughts on a Richter scale in the astrals and they can see it, once they can read that I am consciously back in my body, the device will be pressed until I get out of bed. And the intensity depends on the day. Sometimes it's very small, and I acknowledge that. Other times, it just gets really intense and painful because I want to just sit there with my eyes closed, and I can't without pain. I shared in the previous video how, as of last week, my breathing has been drastically affected to where when they choose to, because again, this isn't 24/7, but when it happens, my breath that is existing and reaching my diaphragm gets shifted and cut off to the point where I only can manage to get enough air from my chest. And because of the tightness, become so constricted in the pathway of air has changed. I can't get a deep fully supported breath. Or amount of air to reach my diaphragm. So I then may reach to breathe from my diaphragm during the day. And then the button gets pressed and it's the rattling internally again. And it's a rapid amount of pulsing sensations that run through my body, in my head, and down to my feet, or at least it can be down to my feet. It's not always both at the same time, but I'm adding it in here for the times that has happened. And it's happened, in any place that they wish, location-wise, where my body is. If I'm at a park, if I'm outside, if I'm eating breakfast, if I'm in the room, and any place where these pulsating sensations can reach within my body: fingertips, hand, palms, arms, chest, legs, cheeks, ears, teeth, head, etc. Depending on the day, I feel like I literally cannot breathe. I shouldn't say depending on the day, but for the moments that I have experienced it, where it is extremely tight, it does feel like I cannot breathe because of the restriction of air and the lack of space for the air to flow. And as a result, I speak more rapidly. I feel I'm in the state of how I feel before I've passed out. I said that, but I'm going to add it again. So now adding the part of how, just briefly, I will make a separate video talking about more of this, but how we are in a simulation and how this information was conveyed to me of what would happen to me visually that I didn't think anything of growing up as a child. But now looking back, it's like, oh, again, no one told the truth. There were hints, visual hints, at what I would experience in this, going back to their upcoming timeline. And that's without me knowing it during that time. Up until now. So, my transgender mother, Michelle Marie Schrader Doyle, who is Ghislaine Maxwell, would always say it's a panic attack that he was having. Because he was assigned male at birth, and I will not switch it up. He would say, I just can't get the words out, and would get flustered. And would say, and I quote, I get so incredibly flustered, I don't know what to do. I turn red, I sweat, I cry. I can't get the words out. I can't catch my breath. He would say he sees the words, but would struggle for them to come out. And there were times he would say it was like he had Alzheimer's disease. There would be a rapid increase in his body temperature. 1 second he was hot, the next he was cold. Throughout my life, his arm would always get cold, or I should say, once I reached late middle school, early high school, is when I remember this happening frequently. And he would need a sweater or a blanket to warm up his body. And this is when we were in West Africa or East Africa, warm, hot parts of Atlantis. And this would happen when we'd be on a road trip, when we were going, Liam, if you ever watch these videos, when we'd be on a road trip, like when we would go from Ouagadougou to Bamako, Mali, for our teeth, or when we were going on game drives, safaris in Kenya, and he would always need that blanket, specifically being in the passenger seat on his left shoulder forearm area. And my body, within the past week, I said it in the previous video, so I'm going to say it again, in rooms that are 70 plus degrees, 78, 75, and I've needed to get, and then it's been damn near 100 outside, I've needed to get a blanket or a sweater or both. And I feel it on my arms just getting colder and colder and colder because of that damn computer and whatever else is going on in the astrals that they are using to attack my spiritual body and my physical body. And that's what I do in those moments to alleviate that pain and discomfort and pull myself out of that space. So we are in a simulation. The world is a stage. We are the chess pieces to a sick game. His feet and sometimes hands would get numb to the point where he experienced so much pain that he could not walk and was afraid to put his foot down onto the ground to take the next step because he was anticipating, preparing himself for the amount of pain that would come. And as of this past week, I felt that in my body. Once was because I meditated for a long time. I shouldn't even say meditated, but I was saying grace and sending out positive energy for too long. The other times it's been in bed with my arms, and I feel this numbness and tightness, like I can't move my arms, and I get a little afraid to move my hands, and I should feel no fear. But it's just that moment, that initial jump, like jumping into a swimming pool. You know you're going to be okay, but it's getting over that hump of your body experiencing that little bit of, I'm gonna just use the word shock, of being in cold water. And sometimes it running up my forearms all the way down to my fingertips. Other times it's just the fingers. So, in conclusion, the breathing issues, loss of concentration, being forgetful, the interruption of thoughts, words, word phrasing issues, like I'm putting my popcorn into the dishwasher when I mean microwave. I did this today when I saw the therapist, not with that specific example, it was with something else. I don't remember it, but I was just like, what the hell is that? To body numbness, increase and decrease in body temperature, isolating the coldness to one part of my body, constant pressure buildup in my ears. I was gonna add something else. Letting the thought go. I have every reason to believe that it is going to lead to the point where my body will be responding and I will be reacting to this abuse in a way where it can be labeled and neatly justified as a panic attack. Small, leading to large, whatever that looks like. And if this, I'm not going to add that part. I just wanted to make this. I intended for it to be way shorter than it is, but it is what it is. I felt some things. If you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. And I want to send peace, courage, protection, and divine cosmic love to every single Atlantean Anunnaki who is on their journey of remembering their divinity and remembering who they are. Peace.